Previously, Ragnarok was summoned by Morid, but as soon as he was summoned, Shadow cut down one of his hands and made his entry. The story continues as Alpha gets news that the Black Rose has been activated. She believes that the chaos before creation has started. Etia wonders if Alpha plans to send a ship to Oriana, but doubts they'll make it in time even if they do. Alpha reassures, mentioning that Shadow is present. Ragnarok summons monsters to attack Oriana, surprising Morid when Shadow injures him. Morid questions Shadow's identity, and Shadow, along with the members of Shadow Garden, reveals themselves at the marriage hall. They disperse to handle the monsters, and Shadow advises Rose to leave, citing her own tasks. Rose departs, and Shadow confronts Ragnarok, making Morid skeptical of his abilities. Beta and Epsilon arrive to face Morid, stating their intention to kill him after confirming something. Morid attacks Epsilon with an invisible sword strike, but she dodges, realizing Morid's reputation as the knight beyond men. Morid explains his unseen fencing technique, impressed that Epsilon managed to dodge it. Epsilon attributes her success to an invisible blade, an ancient elven artifact. Beta criticizes Morid for bragging about stolen achievements and claims his armor and cape are artifacts, calling him a coward. This angers Morid, and Epsilon mentions the elven swordsmith who risked his life to forge the blade, asserting they will reclaim it. Morid gets angry and attacks, but Epsilon counters his move with her own attack. Morgred wonders if Epsilon is also using a special tool. Beta claims their wisdom is more powerful than any tool and mentions that Morid will share his knowledge with them. Morid warns of regret and prepares to attack again. Meanwhile, Rose defeats the last monster in the castle but sees many more in town. Shadow Garden handles the situation, so Rose leaves it to them. Margaret finds Rose to apologize, but Rose instructs her to lead everyone to the sturdy cellar beneath the castle gardens for safety. Rose plans to rally the knights and rescue citizens in trouble. Margaret agrees and calls Rose queen. Shadow battles Ragnarok, dodging its magical attacks. Shadow captures the monster using threads and asserts control over the sky. After Shadow Garden members leave, the knights ask Rose if they can trust them with the monsters. Rose says they can if Shadow Garden proves their worth by shedding their own blood. She instructs the knights to focus on evacuation, and they leave. Rose notices Shadow still fighting Ragnarok and wonders about Morid's whereabouts. Morid falls from the sky, followed by Beta and Epsilon. Morid can't believe he lost to two little girls, and Beta criticizes him for relying on toys. Morid insists it's not over, as he has Ragnarok and can defeat them instantly. Beta dismisses his claim, stating that the moment he's talking about is still far away. Epsilon asks Morid to clarify some things while they wait. Morid wonders what they want to know, and Beta mentions their interest in the Black Rose, magical beasts, and the cult. Morid refuses to share this information, believing that Ragnarok will likely kill them anyway. Beta, unconcerned, convinces Morid to spill the details, pointing out their impending demise. Morid agrees, thinking they will die soon anyway. Morid explains that beyond their world, there are countless other worlds. The girls ask if he means space and planets, but Morid refers to different dimensions as realms. He describes various types of realms, like realms of fire, ice, or poison, all revolving around a single point. Their world also orbits this point, though they don't know what's at the center. Occasionally, these worlds collide, connecting them. Morid illustrates the consequences of such collisions with an example. He mentions studying the ancient strata of their planet, discovering that magic didn't exist before a certain point in time. Magic came to their world when it collided with a different realm, altering the biosphere. Dragons couldn't survive, but humanoid races thrived. This leads to an unanswered question. Did humans also come from another realm, like magic and its creatures? Morid highlights the mystery surrounding the human race, suggesting their high intellect could be because they arrived from a different world. Over the years, things have crossed between their world and other realms. Morid mentions Atlantis, an island nation that vanished without a trace, likely going to another realm. This exchange between their world and other realms influences each other equally. Everyone wonder if Diablo also came from another realm, and Morid explains that Diablo was created in their world. However, the creature that inspired the demon Diablo came from a different realm, referred to as the First Realm. Morid mentions gaining wisdom from Diablo and believes the girls must have figured out the true nature of the rose in the sky by now. Beta clarifies that the rose is an artificial gate to another realm. Morid recalls that Oriana accidentally opened this gate once, leading to the destruction of Vultan soldiers. However, the kingdom remained unharmed, and magical creatures continued pouring out, consuming humans. The cult intervened, closing the gate to save Oriana. In return, Oriana was expected to give Rose, whose royal blood was rich in magic, to the cult as an infant. Rose's father refused, sparking the current conflict. Morid reveals their plan to destroy Oriana, but claims they aim to build a better kingdom afterward. Rose opposes this, but Morid dismisses her, stating her opinion won't matter as she is destined to be destroyed by Ragnarok. Suddenly, parts of Ragnarok fall on Morid, and the scene shifts to Shadow cutting Ragnarok into tiny pieces with his threads. Morid can't believe what he's witnessing. He thinks it's impossible because Ragnarok is considered the greatest treasure across all dimensions. 559 informs Beta and Epsilon that they have dealt with all the monsters in the capital. Beta issues further orders, but Morid insists that Ragnarok cannot be defeated. He feels like he's in a dream. Morid approaches Ragnarok's fallen arm and somehow combines with it. Afterward, he confronts Shadow in a fight, attempting to attack him. However, his strikes either miss or have no effect on Shadow. Shadow remarks that Morid is even more foolish than beasts, as even animals know when they've met their match. Shadow punches Morid into the sky, and despite Morid's attempts to shoot beams, Shadow dodges them. Shadow then punches Morid into space, recounting how long ago the gods unleashed lightning from the heavens to chastise Earth. Humans, fascinated by this power, eventually gained it in the form of nuclear bombs. Shadow reflects on his goal to surpass this power, covering the entire Earth with his mana. He attacks Morid with his atomic attack, creating a bright light visible to everyone on Earth. Members of Shadow Garden recognize this as the power of their lord. After the light fades, Shadow descends upon Oriana. Something like a black hole opens over Oriana, sucking everything, including Shadow, into it. The scene shifts to a post-apocalyptic Tokyo. We then see Akane Nishino there, trying to save her friends. While on her way, she reflects on a boy she once despised, finding the moon reminiscent of that day. Akane discovers her friends are already dead, acknowledging that no one they take away survives even a day. She attempts to return but is attacked by two men, now turned into cyborgs, who had kidnapped her before. They knock her out and kidnap her again, taking her to the same warehouse as before. Upon waking up, one of the men warns Akane about wandering alone, even as the supposed great savior, as she might attract unsavory characters like them. He mentions their client wants her alive and notes that she seems to have made many enemies. The other man, about to kill Akane, is stopped by the first man. Both men have lost their memories due to tampered brains. The burly man recalls the stylish bandit Slayer, but attempts to kill Akane. However, Shadow enters the warehouse, destroying the roof, and easily defeats the burly man. The other man questions Shadow's identity, and Shadow introduces himself before taking out the second man as well. This brings an end to our second season of Eminence of Shadow. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more anime recaps.